highlights were really interesting interpretations of the theme. The dress theme was the Garden of Time, and so some people took that in a very literal floral way. Obviously we saw floral patterns, but we also saw a lot of flowers. Colman Domingo had a bouquet of flowers with him. Usher had a blood red flower that he was carrying. Sam Smith had a flower that was pinned to him. I believe it was an English rose that had been dipped in gold, and his boyfriend Christian Cowan, the designer, also had one with him. So that was kind of an interesting interpretation of Garden of Time. And we also saw a lot of ethereal. This kind of, I think a great example of that is Lana Del Rey, who looked amazing in McQueen, and she was kind of doing both this kind of gauze ethereal via the fabric of her dress, but also that kind of, you know, deer in the woods look, woodland creature with the horns that she had. That was definitely a highlight of the night fashion wise, and I think that one really articulated the theme well.
Very nice. Hey, Carmen, this way, Carmen. Carmen, can we get the front of the fashion, please? The front, this way. Here we go.
And she, I don't know if you saw, but she literally had to be picked up by different, you know, security around her and put on place on each step. And that dress, yeah, it was Olivier, the designer, spoke with us up at the top, and he said that it was meant to look like sand, and he wanted it to be a piece that is going to last in a museum, and, you know, that could be part of an exhibit like this. But it looked amazing, a really interesting interpretation of the theme as well, this kind of thinking of time and as sand as a component of Sands of Time and all of that. But yeah.
Tyler, straight ahead, straight ahead.
Tyler, down here. Tyler, straight ahead.
Okay, got it. Tyler, this way.
Her first look was, you saw these themes, I think, in some of the other looks that they did. Bad Bunny as well had this kind of undone nature to them. You could see on Bad Bunny's look, you could see the stitches of his suit jacket. Zendaya, you know, she had the makeup that was sort of reminiscent of the couture show that Margiela just had, that was everyone's favorite at Couture Week. It was so ethereal, but also so unique and fashion forward, and the shapes were really interesting. I think a lot of the waists that John Galliano has been doing at Margiela, you saw that with Kim's corset as well, these structural waist shapes, and watching Zendaya pose in that, and she really looked very high fashion model, and it looked perfect on the Met Gala red carpet.
Oh, straight ahead.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And she wore this kind of, it was Marc Jacobs, corset, deconstruction. I think deconstruction was also an interesting interpretation of the theme that we saw on a few of these looks. This kind of undone nature. You know, the exhibit is about preservation of garments, and kind of some people explored that tonight with their clothes. And so I think this was a really exciting look for Dua Lipa tonight. I think she looked great, and it'll be interesting to see kind of where this partnership goes with her new stylist. But the Marc Jacobs look was really an interesting take on this.
Oh,